So now it is officially 11 o'clock UK time, 12 Danish time. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday. Welcome to Danish Coffee. It's the 15th today. And today is a very special day, actually, because we have good company, Kevin. Kevin, welcome as always. And today I have a special guest that I have announced a couple of times now. I'm Daniel Calcott from Digital DRA. And this conversation today is maybe more about challenging a little word that we all work in, word around collection. Maybe that word will have a different definition in this talk today. Welcome, both of you.
Morning, Martin.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Morning, both of you. Kevin, I know that you have been to the dentist today. So you, as you said to me, don't make me laugh too much. So I will be not too funny today going into the conversation. But
yeah, I know the pair of you are going to wind me up today. I've temporarily got my two front teeth missing, so hopefully I won't embarrass anybody, including myself, through the course of today. But no wind-ups if possible.
Before we get started, maybe Daniel, you could give a little, for people who don't know you out there, not do, but you have been disturbing an industry for the last couple of years. Try to put a little bit about words on that mission that you have been on for so long now.
Yeah, well, I'll start by introducing myself. So my name is Daniel Calcott. I'm the founder and CEO of the Digital DRA. The Digital DRA is the UK's first FCA authorised debt resolution agency. We kind of set out to pull a couple of different issues and move away from the traditional corporate look and feel of debt collection. So the two key differentiators that we have is first being the brand. So we really lent into the resolution terminology and moved away from debt collection, and that were quite important because what we were building was something that was focusing on positive engagement and positive outcomes rather than collecting from people. And a lot of what I do is around brand and marketing, and terminology matters. So we've really lent into that brand element of our business and how we've positioned ourselves in the market to clients, offering a more friendly, empathetic, approachable solution to their customers who are potentially struggling, but B, how we position ourselves to customers, so that the people that we're actually reaching out to help resolve their accounts. So we've done a lot of work there over the last 5-6 years to really drive that forward. And the second is the approach. So traditionally, debt collection, it's got a bit of a negative perception to the general public. Forceful, pushy techniques, a lot of calling, letter heavy. People perceive it as potentially threatening, and we want to move away from that and build something that give customers convenience. When managing debt, it's a difficult subject. So we built something that enabled customers to essentially manage debt digitally, whether that's via online customer self-serve portals or via talking to our resolution team, real people, humans, just via digital contact channels.
Kevin, it's funny, we talked about this morning. Last year we talked about how with Gary Norris from UKSL, how did this industry look 30 years ago? Now we said collection, resolution. Was this, have you foreseen this, Kevin? Was this something on your mind, like if you go 10, 15 years back?
As a point of reference, I think Dan has admitted to being one when we started that discussion. We're coming out with a complete new way of thinking. So I think it's probably worth, if I mind getting you to spin round, Dan, with the branding on your back. I think one of the things that has been...
Always got branding on.
Yeah,
always.
Branding is always on, but I think this whole message in terms of how we better engage with customers, particularly consumers, has been really at the forefront, and probably at no better time. So this week we've seen more messages coming out of the regulator referencing the Gulf War, being able to better engage with customers. And Dan, I think it'd be worth just hearing for your spin on it, not just about the debt resolution piece, but how you engage, get better engagement rates using some of the tools you've got, where you've got a real mix of using, particularly with things like smartphones, the tools that most consumers have got in their handbag or in their back pocket.
Yeah, and I think for me, especially starting point, it all ties back to the brand and the marketing and how we've decided to position ourselves. So think of it as like our shop front. How do we make our shop front stand out and appeal and be friendlier, more approachable to people that are potentially struggling? These guys, some people are struggling, and we know there's a lot going on at the minute. So people are struggling potentially due to circumstances that are way out of their control. So it's not uncommon for people to bury their head in the sand and hide away from that. So we focused a lot on the language we're using. We did a lot of work on the 22458 ISO, Kevin, didn't we? That a lot of the language we're using, the way that we're approaching customers, making ourselves as appealing as possible to ultimately our number one priority is engagement. Payments and payment plans and all that stuff can come later, but the number one hurdle that we have to tackle is talking to people. The more people we talk to, the more outcomes we're likely gonna get. So yeah, we built our service and solution around customer experience first. We wanted to build the most empathetic, friendliest, approachable debt resolution journey in the world, essentially. That's kind of grown arms and legs into, we've done a lot of work to essentially rebrand debt collection, move towards resolution. I touched on, we don't want to focus on collection. Collect implies one thing. Resolution is quite broad. We do a lot to help people. Resolution gives us the anchor we need to kind of push that message out in strategies and branding and marketing a lot easier than debt collection. But then it's almost, we've recently launched a consumer facing brand, and the goal there is essentially just to increase awareness about debt and the role debt collection agencies play when trying to engage customers. Because if you talk to your average person on the street, friends, family, if you tell them you work in debt collection or you do debt collection or whatever, it's usually not something positive that they have to say. And who can blame them? Everything you see in the news.
One thing is that what you are doing is there's also, it's stigmatized, to that you owe money. So when you also go out and tell, I know you from your billboards, I know you're now running TV commercials, you are on gas stations, etc. But it creates an awareness because it's a friendly brand, it's an open, it's warm, and it actually just put that stigmatization away, that it all comes down to, hey, if you don't think that we think it's embarrassing and we understand that you are in difficult situation, or what I like what you said, also outside your own circumstances, but out of your own control zone, especially in today's environment. So I think it's beautiful. One thing is to actually tell people out there, hey, it's fine, let's just talk about it, because it's a fact that many people stand in this situation, and then approaching on that positive, that's a bold thing to do, to go out in a whole industry and change that. But actually, I think it's quite logical, where you're again saying, who do you want to engagement if in any situation in your life you are stressed with something, you want to be, addressed nicely and warmly, then you want to open up. So it's very logical, actually.
We've got a question in the chat from Colin Trend, and I've worked with Colin Trend for many years. He's one of the vulnerability gurus that helped write a number of the guidance for both debt resolution, also for debt advice. So Colin's coming in it and said he's talking about two debt purchases here, where one refers to themselves as debt solution specialists to resolve their debts, and others as financial recovery. Is your branding that unique? I'd still like you to talk about it, because you're coming at this much more from a consumer angle rather than a corporate angle, as whether you've got.
And I think, well, yeah, on the face of it, if you approach it like that, then no, you can argue it's not unique. but it's the implementation of it that's unique. So we've come at this from a consumer lens, consumer-facing lens, rather than how we position ourselves in the market to clients. So what I did, one of the very first things I did was inject traditional marketing and branding techniques into debt collection that, in my opinion, from a consumer facing perspective, hadn't been done with a great deal of thought and effort before. So yeah, it's almost what we're doing through the brand and all these initiatives is tackling the wider public, general consumers, not just the clients that we serve, not just the customers that we're servicing on behalf of those clients. We're taking the message quite literally into the front rooms of the UK, and we're trying to reposition the conversation around debt in general. So it's not where the Digital DRA, if we contact you, you need to talk to us. It's let's talk about debt in general. The conversation starts at home. It starts with your friends, your family, colleagues, whatever it is. Don't bury your head in sand with it. And if a debt collection agency does contact you, don't believe everything you see, hear, and read in the news. The debt collector on Coronation Street's always the bully with a mask that'll beat you up. The watchdog stories that are picked up on the BBC, it's always highlighting the negatives of our industry, when in reality, if you work within the industry, you know the strides that it's taken, especially over the last few years, to move towards a more customer-centric approach. And in my opinion, that's not being talked about and shouted about enough, and the message isn't getting back to general people, consumers, quick enough. Because debt collection is not what it used to be. Debt collection is not what the average person thinks it is.
Precisely.
It's our responsibility to change that.
Yeah, precisely. I think that you also touch a point there. It's not the same anymore. I just want to tip a little bit, and then we can continue coming into that positive engagement again. Also, from my perspective, it's that you just to back the whole thought up about when you positive engage again. You know, Kevin and Dana, we have been running campaigns where I can see when you call with AI voice agents that we are doing in our company. When you just call people with just a normal collection call, it don't have a big impact, but when you begin, I did a campaign going away from that thing called, enforcement. This is not enforcement, this is support. Pre-announce it before. We will call you, we will help you. This is the opportunities you have. And then you see people want to engage. It's very logical because you take the stigma away, you're communicating positive to them, and you are giving them some options. And of course, it's logical that will get people to engage more with you. Yeah, very logical.
Dan, you were a very early adopter when we did the ISO accreditation, but you'd already adopted the vulnerability registration service before, certainly in terms of identifying whether there was pre-existing information within the ecosystem. But just tell me a little bit more around where you see that journey going in terms of helping people register for additional support, whether it be income optimization, social tariffs. You do a lot of work in the energy sector, which is right in the spotlight at the moment with prices rising. Where do you see that journey going? So I only did an event with Money Advice Trust, Chris Fitch and co yesterday around this ecosystem, how we get the message out better, how we start using some of these tools to deliver better outcomes.
Yeah, and I think this is an important point because it goes back to like understanding people's circumstances in just that little bit more detail and understanding, well, how important is talking to us and what we need to talk to that customer about in their life at that given time. So anything that we can access or get sight of that helps improve and streamline that customer journey. VRS is a good example where we're looking for pre-notified flags of specific vulnerabilities that if we get a successful hit on that, we're able to tailor strategy items. So what we're communicating to these customers is a little bit different. We're able to position different support resources so that our customer portal is dynamic. So we'll position different things and different signups and point people in different directions depending on the support they need. And you've got to take a step back and understand that sometimes this conversation, whilst it's important, it might not be the most important thing that's going on in their life right now. So is there something else that we can do to make sure that they get the support that they need that will ultimately lead to a better outcome further down the line?
So data become more and more important and more critical in everything you do. And
Yeah.
I could not agree more that all the pre-knowledge you can have. I see a lot of also companies that don't have a choice because the customers demand where there is one strategy, it's the same SMS, it's the same letters, it's the same kind of messaging you get all the way through. What was the thing that you also sold into that you can run these different kind of strategies? You know, your clients that you have out there, they might have bought into this concept where you are tailoring all kind of journeys, you're doing things differently. What was the biggest trigger for them, you think, compared to what they have been used to working with before, to go in a collaboration with a company like you with that mindset?
Yeah, well, and I think because you're kind of seeing a little bit of a shift where your traditional head of collections has customer experience and reviews and all that. That's kind of higher on a lot of agendas at the minute. So when especially when I first came to market, the way that we positioned ourselves, and especially the approach that we was trying to launch with, or did launch with, it was quite far away from the norm. So it did take a bit of time to convince people that this will work and it will perform just as well. But on top of performing, sometimes outperforming your traditional debt collection strategies, will also guarantee a better customer journey, a better customer experience. So it took a bit of convincing, but now 5 years on, I can sit here and comfortably say that we do perform, and we do often outperform some traditional agencies in their approach. So it's not me just saying it'll work anymore. I've got the data to prove that it works.
If we pick up on a couple of that, I mean, obviously your ethos from the outset was digital first, but I'd like to understand how you've moderated that over the course of time with more humans in the loop and the like. But alongside, one of the things I know you, Aaron, Tom and Stu are strong on as well, is that particularly where we go back to sort of those with characteristics of vulnerability, that you feel you can offer just as good a service, or not, if not better, for some of the clients that prefer that method of engagement. So probably two questions in one. How have you adapted your strategy, more humans in the loop, but also convincing people that digital does work, even with some clients, who may have quite multiple characteristics of vulnerability?
Yeah. So I think on the client stuff, we obviously, one of the things that we had to tackle early on was how do we manage vulnerability digitally. So that was quite a big pushback early on in some of the early conversations. My argument to that was, well, people manage their lives on digital chat tools, and they talk to family, friends on digital chat tools. Why are they going to want to manage debt and have difficult conversations any other way? At the time, 5 years ago, it were a little bit ahead of the curve, that there was still the thinking of, to manage vulnerability, it needs to be done on the phone. That's the only way you're going to pick up on the cues. That's the only way you're going to get the detail you need. When in reality, we've seen a bit of a shift now where you potentially access more data points online. You've got access to more information via digital channels, and sometimes customers are a little bit more open talking about it on WhatsApp than they are on the phone, because we've removed the barrier of engagement. We've removed that brick wall of embarrassment that sometimes people feel when they've got to disclose that to someone they've never met on the phone. So we've kind of seen that people can sometimes be a little bit more open. Keeping human in the loop was always our strategy. We never implemented automated chatbots or automated responses on any contact channel, and we still haven't to this day. The strategy was essentially anything you could do on the phone, we will build a customer journey for, and it'll be slick and convenient for customers to do that online rather than on the phone, because we knew that that's where customer engagement habits were heading. COVID put a rocket under that. But if they needed to talk to us, because we were so digitally led, we needed them to be able to talk to a human. it was just via a digital contact channel. Over time, as our customer base has grown, we've come across certain circumstances where we can't do it digitally. So we have introduced the phone. We do have letter capability. So we do send hard mail out in the post still, designed to convert back into a digital journey if possible. But our agents are trained to manage conversations digitally on WhatsApp, email, web chat, SMS, and they can essentially manage that customer journey for customers in the background whilst having the conversation on WhatsApp, and provide shortcuts and drop in at any point, drop out at any point. So it provides a convenience, provides a helping hand if they need it. And then same with the phone. As our customer base has grown, we're servicing over 1 million customer accounts now. So the volume of customers that need to speak to us on the phone has increased with that. So our agents are trained to speak on the phone as well. It still only accounts for less than 5% of our total engagements, but it's there if they need it. And that's important because in certain circumstances, people are unable to digitally self-serve, people are unable to engage digitally. We need to be able to talk to them on the phone. Sometimes you get people that are just completely unwilling to do it any other way. So we're able to cater to them as well.
You're picking up on, in a good word that you said that I also see in my space where you said that, and I think that was actually also why I went into doing voice bots. Why did I do that for collection? It was because I thought that was actually the best segment where if you wanted to engage by voice by an AI agent, it should be in that space. Why? Because the AI agent is not stigmatized. It don't judge you. It don't. It solves your problem, it answer your question, it can support and help you, and that's why. And I think you are so right. Some people want to talk with humans, of course, but I think we are going in that direction, and I think we see higher and higher and higher. There are more that want to engage than not now, because it's just more. It's more easy, I think, and you can also. I think that combination and with what we are doing and what you guys are doing, and is also in the end about offering your client, as you also do, more and more channels. What do you prefer? When do you prefer it? How do you prefer it? Why do you prefer, and then we support you around that. So I buy into that for sure.
So Dan, let's talk about affordability a little bit, and your views on things like data sharing. So there's been a lot more focus since the changes to Conc 7 around if a client wants to share data that you look and pick it up and use it. And that's where sort of partnerships with people like IE Hub have been very important. Do you see proportionality and affordability about to go through a sea change from, one extreme doing an 8-page standard financial statement to the other extreme, a portal where you may have something that's very light touch? Where do you see the grey areas evolving within that, including data sharing?
Well, it's a difficult one to tackle because, especially if you're servicing a lot of customers online, obviously we all know the standard financial statement is very long. You're going to have a considerable drop off if you're forcing every customer to do the standard financial statement online. But there are tools. There's some great tools like the Mega AI tool and stuff can help customers navigate through that. But you've got to get the balance right in terms of ensuring that you're capturing the right affordability information to be able to confidently evidence that it's affordable and sustainable. From two perspectives. From a customer perspective, you want it to be affordable and sustainable for them. But then from a client perspective, you also need to evidence that you're not just letting people come in online and do anything they want. There needs to be guardrails in place, and it is hard. And obviously this is the payment plan journey that we have is probably one of the most important journeys that we have online, because we will live and die in that. If we don't get it right, we will not convert enough customers. If we get it wrong, we will have to resort to your usual, and you still see it to this day. Like if I want to talk to Virgin to one of my suppliers, it's like, well, the backup is always, you can't do that via chat, you've got to call. So it's almost like getting the balance right, and affordability is one of the most difficult ones to get right online, because I think we spoke about this yesterday, Kevin, around, well, what is a justified affordability statement online? Because
we talked about proportionality, which I think is the key part of it, and trust you have in the consumer and trust they have in you, because you don't want to infer somebody's a liar. However, if there is information you've got that somebody's had 3 missed time to pay arrangements, other debts, you're likely to take a slightly different risk approach to it. And that's where the regulators come in from. What is proportionality, particularly given you do work in with the credit unions, community banks and the like? What you're seeing in things like deferred payment credit, buy now, pay later, where do you see some of the challenges where clients have been used to actually taking credit out, probably without a lot of control checks? They're now getting pushed in place in July with more affordability. How do you see that going down the food chain, as it were, to you to say, right, consumers have been educated how they do this very fast, very quick, that we need to adapt it in, and you've probably got a perfect model around your smartphone type model that said we're used to engaging with these clients in the same way they do right at the front end when they're being onboarded.
Yeah, and I think because this is a work in progress. If you look at the guardrails that we've built, and because sometimes you can only build and plan for stuff that you've seen and you actually come across in real life. So yeah, you mentioned there that picking up on multiple missed payments, implementing guardrails around that and potentially tailoring the customer journey accordingly is a lot of what we've done over the last few years. It's trial and error. We've got to build it. Obviously, we've got all the metrics in the background. We're capturing all the data, but it's been a work in progress for the last 5 years, and I still don't think nothing's ever going to be perfect. But you've just got to be willing to and change and grow to what you need. And I think you mentioned it at the beginning around like current economic climate. Like we built something last year. It might not be relevant this year because of there's so much changing at any given point. There's so much happening in the world that creates circumstances that are outside of consumer control. So you then also need to be dynamic and agile in the sense of, well, these customer journeys need to start reflecting that and picking up on that as well. So it's not like a one size fits all. We've done it and it's done. It's moving.
Constantly new things are happening around, and you adapt your journeys, your communication around all that. In the last 2 minutes back, approximately, any Daniel, how do you see the next year? I know it's been. I remember you guys have moved office 3 or 4 times, so you are I could say, how do you see it in 3 years? But it's more or less with you guys, maybe 6 months at the time. How do you see the next 12 months, 24 months running? What's on the agenda shortly here in the end?
Yeah, well, I think, especially from my point of view, I think, so obviously from DRA's point of view, we've got a lot going on. There's quite a few exciting things that we're working on that will come out in the woodwork in the next few months. From an industry perspective, I think this, and it feeds back into the Talk Debt consumer facing brand that I'm working on, is there needs to be a real emphasis on think bigger than changing and rebranding debt collection. Rebrand debt. Like what does it mean to be in debt? What do you need to be doing if you're in debt? Like, don't change the conversation and the narrative around debt in general, because I don't think things are going to lighten up anytime soon. Utility prices are probably going to continue to increase. We're seeing debt numbers across the UK, across industries, continuing to increase. So this is going to become a standard part of any customer journey. You have to be planning and preempting people falling behind and struggling with bills and debt. And the first piece we need to tackle is the perception of debt. I believe. I think there needs to be a real focus on that, especially over the next 12 to 18 months, just to shift people's thinking in what it means to be in debt, what debt is, how to talk about debt, what to do in certain circumstances, because there's no getting away from it. And more people are finding themselves in that position. So it's a war on perception from my point of view, debt in general.
There's some good stats in the chat again from Colin regarding the rise in clients that are offline, often those that are in the debt advice world. Again, Dan, final words in there in collaboration with the debt advice sector. I know you've taken a very positive view in terms of how you engaged there, particularly where people have multiple debts. What any final thoughts on what you see the challenges there in the coming months as we start to see demographics coming into play who probably haven't been in the debt recovery, debt resolution world before?
Yeah, and I think we've touched on, and it goes back to, if they've not been in this before and it is new to them and it is a struggle to them, it's almost like it needs to be that, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, like moment, like light bulb moment from a consumer perspective. Like, have we matched their consumer, their engagement habits, preferences? So can we talk to them and engage with them the way that they want? And on that, it's almost like you can't have one channel that if you're defaulting back to the phone as being your primary contact channel, because that's the only way you can do certain things, then I don't think that's the best customer journey or outcome. And then it's almost like, well, that conversation, it's a light bulb moment. Like, that conversation were a lot easier than I expected it to be. And that's what the priority needs to be. And we work a lot with, we've got a few partners that we work with. Pay Planner are a great example. We work with those guys. But it's almost like recognizing who needs what when and prioritizing that support over the support that the customer needs over anything else.
Spot on, Daniel. Thank you for that. And with the time is a little bit over, but the conversation was also really good today. So that's super nice. I just want to say, Daniel, I will see you and the whole Digital DRA team in Manchester on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend Kevin. Thank you.
I'll see you at Credit Connect next week, Dan.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Good luck with the teeth, Kevin, and hopefully
the anesthetic's just wearing off at the moment, so we're probably closing down at the right time.
We will. We wish you all a happy Friday and a good weekend from Danish and Coffee. See you next Friday.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
And bye.